Welcome to Behind the Seal, the official state podcast of the Secretary of State's office. I'm Sam Swoboda. I'm one of the communications specialists here. And I'd like to introduce my guests. To my right, I have Pat Thomas. Your deep knowledge of Missouri's government, longtime service in legislative leadership, and dedication to public policy made you a trusted voice in the Capitol. You currently serve as Chief of Staff to Senate President Pro Tem Cindy O'Laughlin. And you are an at-large citizen member of the America 250 Missouri Commission, helping plan our state celebration of the nation's 250th anniversary, which is kind of what we're talking about today.
Yes.
And then on my left here, we have my guest / co-host, John Dougan. John is the Missouri State Archivist with the Secretary of State's office, overseeing the preservation and accessibility of our state's records and history. His deep understanding of Missouri's past brings important perspective to the America 250 effort as we prepare to honor the nation's 250th anniversary. So welcome to the show.
Thanks, Sam. Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. So I guess tell us a little bit, Pat, go ahead and tell us a little bit more about yourself. You've worked with state government for quite a while, so, give you the spotlight.
Well, thank you. Born and raised in Mexico, Missouri, and work in the Capitol. Been fortunate to work for some really great senators. Some focused more on appropriations, some on legislation. So really helps in the current role I have working for the Pro Tem Senator Cindy O'Laughlin. Have also served on some volunteer commissions within the state, the Clean Water Commission, the House Independent Bipartisan Redistricting Commission, and now fortunate enough to be serving on this America 250 Missouri Commission. I think it's important for people who work in state government and especially in the legislature, because we see the language and we help pass a lot of these commissions, right? Mm-hmm. It's important that if you find one that you believe in or that you have an interest in, you should really put your name forward if it's appropriate. We are citizens first.
Yeah.
And we need to be engaged in things that go on, because that's how our state and our communities all become better. And so I felt compelled and put my name forward, and Governor Parson chose me back in October of 23.
Great. And John, tell us a little bit about yourself and the work that you guys do down in the state archives.
So as state archivist and actually the record services director for the Secretary of State's office, we're responsible for not only the state archives, which is what most people think of, where they come and do research with the records that we preserved, but we also have the state's records management division that manages all of the active state government records for all the agencies, and our local records division that does retention scheduling and helps preserve the records in all county city offices across the state. So we have a huge footprint. Records keeping is kind of central to the Secretary of State's office. We are the state's records keeper as an office, and the archives, particularly as a subset of that, is vital to preserving and providing access to the state's record.
Wonderful. Well, let's get right into talking a little about America 250. And in Missouri, we are working with the federal side of things. And with Missouri, we are the Show Me America 250. So I guess, kind of a quick overview for those who are new to this. What exactly is the Show Me America 250, and how did it come to be?
So a resolution was passed through the legislature in 2023 that established the commission to work with the National Commission. And so the National Commission, I believe, was formed in 2017. We were a little late in kicking off in 2023, and then we got fully... all the volunteers and commissioners were named finally in early spring of 25. So we've just really been, as a group, having a quorum and functioning since March of 25. The Show Me America 250 is how we've branded. Our official title is America 250 Missouri Commission. But the Show Me America 250 is how we've branded ourselves, because we thought that was something Missourians would recognize. And even people, as we have advertising or the logos or the branding hits the borders, we feel like that's something that Kansas is going to go, oh, that's the people on the other side. So we felt like it was definitely our state motto, and it seemed important to utilize that, and that people would respond to that.
Great. Tell me a little bit about kind of the pillars of the Show Me America 250.
So we felt like that there are several things that are going to be asked of us that the federal organization is doing at the America 250, and how did we best tie in our planning for the state of Missouri. And so our commission came up with 3 pillars. We are educate, engage, and celebrate, because we feel like for 6 million Missourians, there is something in those pillars for everyone. If you're in the education field or students, or even I'm still learning a ton of new things as this year keeps going on, and I have more meetings with John and he tells me all kinds of things. And then the engage piece is we would like everyone to engage at some point in the celebration over the next year. And then celebrate, of course, is to celebrate that we have this opportunity in a country that, let's face it, we were a great big experiment in 1776. And here we are 250 years later.
Great. Kind of as we think about this milestone, 250 years of our nation's history, why is it such a significant moment for both Missouri and the United States? And how can this anniversary inspire future generations to connect with our shared history?
Well, I think John has a good lead on that.
Sure. I always kind of look at Missouri history as being America's history. If you look at the major milestones in Missouri's history, Lewis and Clark exploration, westward expansion. At one point in our history, St. Louis was actually being considered to be the capital for the United States because it was centrally located and was a major urban population at the time. In rival with Chicago and New York and other cities. So that never happened, but Missouri's history has been central to America's history. The Dred Scott decision that we have in our St. Louis office and many of the records that we hold. So I think as you look at Missouri's history, it really does tell the history of the United States for the last 250 years. I should say that 250 years ago, Missouri was part of Spanish territory. And so even though there was a Revolutionary War battle fought in St. Louis toward the end of the war, Missouri's history also, dates back in this time period to the native populations that were living here at the time, the French who had a major population here and had just transferred that property a decade before to the Spanish. They come back. They send they sell Louisiana Purchase to Jefferson and his representatives. So like if you look at Missouri history, it is America's history, and everything that we have done throughout our history connects, I think, quite centrally to American history.
Cool. Now that we kind of set the stage, let's talk about the work that's already kind of underway. Tell us a little bit about some of the events and initiatives that we've done already, and kind of what can we look forward to in the next year.
So we did kick off at the Missouri State Fair this past August. We had a very good presence. We gave away stickers and window clings and flew Show Me 250, America 250 flag, received a proclamation from Governor Kehoe, and then our social media and everything went live, and we can be found on Facebook or X at Missouri 250. Real easy, Missouri 250, Facebook and X. So those things happened. We then rolled right back into having our elected leaders be in the Capitol. And so we've sent flags home, one for every county to fly over their courthouse with the Show Me America 250 logo on it. And then we are working with an initiative for mascots like Truman the Tiger, like MSU Bear, to be wearing T-shirts that say Show Me 250. To events that are patriotic in nature, veterans related, anything that they feel is appropriate for that. And so those shirts are being delivered. We're utilizing our locally elected officials to do some of those things to help us out. And then if you missed out on getting one of those T-shirts and your high school would like one, let me know and we'll send us an email at showme250.mo.gov and we'll work on getting that to your official and getting that T-shirt out to you. Department of Education and Elementary and Secondary Education, DESE, has been great about looking at the standards and the things that are already covered, benchmarks, and putting those in boxes on their website for teachers and school districts to look at and use to engage students more. We highlighted Constitution Week. Since we've actually been up and going, we've participated, State Treasurer Vivek Malik and Governor Kehoe participated in a naturalization ceremony in Cape Girardeau, which was exciting. And they presented those new citizens with a special certificate that acknowledges the fact that they became United States citizens during America's 250. So we felt
Very
like
nice.
that was a good tie-in. Very much ties into State Treasurer Malik's journey of his own, becoming a United States citizen and then now being the state treasurer. So it was a good nod to him. So that's kind of where we found ourselves. We're doing a lot of pre-planning for big events leading up to next year, and looking at engaging local officials and community organizations and things like that, and taking what they're already planning and doing, and then finding a spot on the website for them to be able to announce and celebrate those events.
I actually noticed that, like on the website, you have one of the tabs that you have is for events, and as our local communities,
they email us.
They email you, or they can actually submit their events right on the website to be able to be added to this map. As time goes on, as more and more things come to the front, you'll be able to link to it from the showme250.mo.gov site.
We hope that people will use this as a travel itinerary, that we'll have so many events on there they can use it as a travel itinerary for their family or themselves for next year as they're moving about Missouri, what might be happening on their route to somewhere. So we hope that that'll fill in quickly.
Nice. I think you also mentioned, like, one of the things that's offline we had talked, and you had mentioned that I guess I forget which department is doing, but they're making like a travel map.
We're working with the Department of Tourism, and we have asked for, if you go to the front page of the site, at the bottom,
here we go.
Scroll down. It says submit a destination. So nominate your favorite place in Missouri to be one of Missouri's 250 top destinations. So if it's Walt Disney's home, Mark Twain's home, Laura Ingalls Wilder, Tonka State Park,
right?
The first state capitol, right?
Yeah.
All of those, the Dred Scott courthouse in St. Louis.
Yeah.
The fountains in Kansas City.
True. Yeah.
Any of those places. Pick your favorite, submit a destination, and then we're going to pick the top 250 that are turned in, and we're going to build out a digital passport and encourage people to go see those.
Another thing that communities can do to engage is there's several sets of plywood cutouts that the commission had done for the state fair and for the launch there. And those can be checked out and used for some of your community events and those kinds of things if you plan that ahead. The office here has a Made in Missouri exhibit that we did for our state fair that highlights a few of the things that are made in Missouri. It's not enough in my mind as a historian. It does a few of the things like the ice cream cones and that kind of thing. But follow us on Facebook and social media because we're going to continue to highlight some of those that we didn't tell on the exhibit. Did you know that the parking brake, was was actually invented in Missouri, and Orscheln's actually started not as a farm and home store, but as the inventor of the parking brake, and that's used in so many different industries in so many different ways. Now, our toasted raviolis or Stetson, cowboy hats that started out in St. Joseph. They didn't start out in Texas. It's a Missouri story. But those kind of things are really important to connect those communities as well. So, I don't know how many of my ideas went up on her map, but
right.
You'll need to encourage some people.
Yeah. And the communities can do that themselves, though. I mean, that's the key to that. So.
Yeah. As a follow-up to that, with all the preservation work that Archives is doing, how does that help shape the planning and storytelling for the America 250 Commission?
So the records that we hold here in the state archives and that hopefully people use on our websites, we have a lot of databases that help people do genealogy research on the sos.mo.gov website. We also have a website that has a lot of the archives photographs and government documents, but it has a lot of materials from other institutions, universities, libraries, historical societies across the state. Mm-hmm. It's called Missouri Digital Heritage. Yes. That has millions and millions of pages as well of records that people can go out and look at their community's history. They can look at their family history. They can do, just research on some little aspect that has their interest. And I would warn you, if you go to those websites, have a few hours to go and peruse. There's a lot there. But we like being the primary source for information to go and do that research. So you may already know the story, document it. You may not know anything but a story, document it. And go and use the resources we have. If you don't find what you need online, you can email us at archives@sos.mo.gov. There's a web form on our website as well to request things that we may not have online.
Gotcha. Are there any particular historical documents or records you think deserve special attention with the America 250?
You're asking an archivist what their favorite record is.
He wants you to pick your favorite child.
Yeah, no. let me throw one out there. And that kind of is, I think, essential. So we had a Capitol fire here in Jefferson City in 1837. We lost our copy of our original state constitution. And so I think it was during the era of COVID, we worked with our friends in the Missouri State Archives group, and we actually had the National Archives in Washington, D.C. scan the copy that was at the National Archives. And we've digitized that. We actually put all of our constitutions online, but we didn't have a copy of our own original constitution, and we put that online. So I guess tying back to Missouri's history over the last 250 years, like our founding document.
That's a standout. For sure.
It is definitely a standout, and so that's my answer. That's not my answer, but that's my answer. I'll stick with that.
Fantastic.
So, yeah.
Looking ahead, this is kind of a statewide celebration. It touches every community here. What do you see as the biggest opportunities for engaging people and organizations across Missouri for the Show Me America 250 here?
So we have a lot of ideas, but we also have a lot of leeway from the National Commission, right?
Right.
We want communities to do what works for them. There's not going to be a mandate of you have to do something.
Yeah.
We want this to be local and be personal. And so we're really just here to highlight the good things that they're planning and doing, which makes that event submission page so important that they submit them to us so that other people can see what's important and what they're doing there. We are going to try to plan a few statewide initiatives that we've actually taken ideas from other states who routinely celebrate these events, mostly the founding 13 colonies, right? Or from the National Commission, one of which is going to be volunteerism. And Missouri has, I feel like, a really strong history of volunteers and civic-minded people, and our communities have followed trade. Like John said, the Missouri is America's history. And so one of the things we are going to be kicking off soon is asking communities to define themselves and do 2,026 volunteer hours. And when they do that, after they register, they do their volunteer hours, submit a photo of doing it or some of their volunteers, we'll register them for an award or a prize at the end of the period. But we would love to see a huge amount of communities involved, whether it be a community tied to your church, a community tied to a college campus, a local civic club, a town, a city, a county. Determine what your community is and how you can best help or be of assistance to volunteer, whether it be literacy, cleaning up the highway, planting flowers, archiving for John and the archives. I think he might go out and find some some
I've
new
got an idea.
volunteers
Yeah.
on how to do that, or helping your local library, right? Just any number of things that are important to you and important to your community. I think the exciting thing about that is that an individual person can be a member of so many communities that they could really find a path that they're volunteering and reaching out within so many different communities, that the Venn diagram of it would really overlap. And I think we would have just an astronomical number of volunteer hours for next year.
Oh, absolutely. So like you could have a local city community, but the person could also be part of a church community or a like a club or something like that. They could define themselves as a group to be a part of this.
A professional organization.
Yeah.
I could be with my church. I could be with the Optimist Club in Ashland. I could be, with the beekeeping associations that I'm a member of, and also the genealogy and history community. The idea that I'm thinking of is that we have a phenomenal online volunteer corps that do indexing. A lot of the reason we have things online is because we have not staff members who are indexing some of those genealogy records so we can put them online. So maybe, 2,026 hours for an individual would be a lot, but maybe they could do 2,026 pages, or you could get a group of them from, a historical society together to do the 2,026 volunteer hours to get even more records online so that they can be used for research. So, but yeah, I think the volunteer idea is a great idea. Because it draws these communities together, and you work together. You go and work on a stream team or something, that makes our communities even better than they are.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
I think it's important that we pull people together in this day and time.
Absolutely.
And how we implement this is really kind of a Missouri Show Me America initiative, but it's actually kind of also being requested as part of the federal initiative, which is coming from the America 250 on the federal level.
Right.
And so they've got their own set of initiatives and events that are coming up. Do you know a lot about what some of the things that they're going to be doing?
Well, so I think we discussed offline one where they're going to be coming around and taking nominations for people, My American Story.
Oh, yeah.
And so that calendar hasn't been set yet for Missouri, but you can nominate someone to have their American story. And I foresee it to be something like a family storyteller. Is that what you kind of foresee, John? Somebody who comes around and they know the history, or they know how their family got started in Missouri, or maybe they know the handed down version of somebody who fought during the Revolutionary War, or how they made their way to the United States.
Gotcha.
But I also see that it could be somebody who, how did that parking brake get invented?
Yeah.
What made Walt Disney sit down and draw that first steamboat?
Yes. Absolutely.
Right? I think it could just be any number of things. I'm not sure exactly what they're looking for, but I know that in true Missouri fashion, we will give them some unique stories.
Yeah. And that story is actually a guy named Iwerks, who worked with Disney, who actually drew the first character. That's on our exhibit that we had at the fair. So, anyway, but those hidden stories are really, really important. And particularly, I feel like every Missourian, every American has a story to tell, and has stories of their families to tell, stories of their communities to tell. This is an opportunity to do it. And the archives and other cultural institutions are great vehicles to help tell those stories.
Fantastic. Any other events?
There are going to be several. There's an idea for everyone at the same time to leave their porch light on to tell the story of the three riders. Paul Revere's the most famous. I know that there's a discussion about having potluck dinners all on the same day, kind of as that community connection and a kind of tip back to the historical way that everybody had, covered dinners, on the ground in communities, across our country as well. There's some bigger things though too. I
do think that at the national level, they're looking at planning something really large on the National Mall next year, the week, I think, or the few days leading up to the 4th of July, and maybe a few weeks after, and there's going to be some great big fair or something, and so what they're going to call it, and every state's going to have a booth or an area to highlight their impact or in the country or what impacts them. And so we'll be getting more of that information, and we'll see what that looks like, but should definitely be bigger than anything ever we've seen, right? It'll be huge. So we'll see what that does. But we're looking toward, here locally for the state, we are looking at several items that are going to be celebrating major anniversaries next year. The Route 66 is going to be 100 years old, and that's 317 miles from St. Louis to Joplin. And they are going to have several events planned all the way along that, and the communities that they're located in are going to have several events. And so we look forward to working with them and drawing attention to that part of Missouri's history.
Yeah.
The people that are going to be celebrating that are people that we feel like enjoy history and know a little bit about history, but maybe they didn't realize it was 250 for the country. And so we feel like it's a little bit of give and take of people that are interested in the historical community. So we're going to be working with them on that.
And there's other destinations as well. I feel like we're going to go to state parks and draw people to conservation areas and all kinds of things for people to see, whether it's natural history, history like we referenced with Pershing earlier, or our major cities just have so many cultural, anchors to go to, whether, it's the Missouri History Museum or the zoo in Forest Park, or in Kansas City, where we've got so many great cultural institutions. I think that the FIBA World Cup is next year. I mean, next year is going to be a travel year for sure for us.
Well, and I would not be true to my Mexico roots if I didn't mention the Saddle Horse Museum in Mexico, and then the home of Mark Twain in Northeast Missouri. And then, we travel along Highway 36 and you hit Disney and J.C. Penney, and you go all the way over to the Pony Express in St. Joe. So, we have things all across the state that I'm not sure. And I think we all hear about them. We learn about them in the 4th grade. We memorize them, the Eugene Field poem, all those kind of things. But then at some point our lives get busy. And I'm hoping that next year will be a time for people to kind of slow down and pull those things back out and revisit some of those places and ideas.
I guess before we close, I know the Missouri State Fair next year will serve as kind of a major milestone, kind of wrapping up this commemoration. What can Missourians look forward to at the fair, and how will it help showcase Missouri's part in the nation's 250-year history?
Well, the Department of Agriculture has already announced the theme, which is going to be Stars and Stripes 2026. And so I would definitely think that there is going to be a more than normal patriotic prayer. They normally close each day out by lowering the flag and having a veteran do that. And so I think you will probably hear more bands, bigger names, a penchant toward patriotism, and some exciting things to draw more families out to the state fair.
That'd be great.
I think we're going to have Pat back as this develops, because some of these stories, some of the events and those kind of things haven't really been fully fleshed out yet.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know I know the commission is sponsoring the Ken Burns series
on PBS.
Oh, that's right.
So we probably should talk about that, because I think more details are known for that. It's coming out
in November.
And will then be rebroadcast, I think, in the beginning of the year in January. That'll be kind of interesting, because most of Ken Burns' films have been with historical photography, and Revolutionary War doesn't have any photography.
No.
So they'll be using some artwork and a lot of live camera work, but I'm sure that will be excellent work that's being done there. So I know that you've got some interesting project partners that you're working on things with.
We do. We're looking to do something big in Kansas City over at the World War I Museum as the year evolves next year. I would be remiss if I didn't say that this program this year of planning is making some great new partnerships around the state. The Missouri State Museum in the first floor of the Capitol, which is run through the Department of Natural Resources, is going to be partnering with the Kinder Institute of Democracy to put together a historical timeline, I believe, and a museum display on the first floor. So, that is open to the public all the time. And we encourage people to come down and check out our beautiful Capitol, too.
We've even got unusual things, like tell them about Patriot, the eagle.
Oh, and we have Patriot the
gosh,
Eagle.
yeah.
Yes, I can't believe
we talked about that earlier.
We talk about it and we forget. So, a natural tie-in for our commission is the national bird is the bald eagle. And Missouri has Eagle Days through the Department of Conservation. Mm-hmm. And so Conservation is going to be doing more with the eagles for the year. And we actually reached out to they reached out because we asked, but Department of Conservation and TJ over there has been great to work with. And they reached out to the World Bird Sanctuary. And at that point, they thought we were the only state who had asked, but we've named the eagle for next year for the state of Missouri Patriot.
Ah, nice.
Which in the true naming of, show me 250 Missouri, an eagle named Patriot seems totally appropriate.
Yeah, that was an easy decision to make from their flock, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I don't think eagles have flocks, but still, yeah.
So, looking forward to those things, and like John said, as more things flesh out, I'd love to come back and give you some updates on another podcast, but really encourage people to go back to that showme250.mo.gov website.
Absolutely.
A lot of things are going to be posted on there as they become available with information. You can email us to that site, and somebody checks it fairly routinely. We are a volunteer commission, so it'll be a volunteer that responds. So
wonderful.
Maybe I need to find somebody to do 2,026 hours of emailing and responding for me, or social media post. Hey, if you're a social media poster and this is up your alley, let me know.
That's a call out to the public.
Yeah.
Building community.
This is your thing. Building a community of people that want to celebrate with us.
Well, fantastic. Before we wrap up here, is there anything else that we didn't cover, or you kind of have the spotlight?
I think at John's corralling, we came back to all the topics that I have. So just looking forward to what the next year holds, and then we'll help John's people archive it all and save it for the next big anniversary.
Absolutely. We'll definitely have to come back and revisit as we get more information as to what's coming up in the next year. I'm excited to see what kind of evolves.
That's right.
And plug in again for follow Missouri 250 on X, on Facebook, so that as those things develop, you'll be able to see it.
Absolutely. Well, thank you again for coming to Behind the Seal, and we will see you all next time. Thank you.